In this video, we'll see how to learn about built-in Python functions using the help function. The 4 questions that I've written here deal with built-in Python functions ord, oct, and round. To answer these questions, we need to go to the help page for each of these functions. So first, let's start with help ord. This first indented line here is actually the most helpful for answering all of these questions. It tells us that ord takes in one argument, which it calls c, and then outputs an integer. Please remember that this arrow over here means outputs. Now let's consider the oct function. Once again, this line tells us everything we need to know. Here, oct takes in just one argument, which it calls number, and then it outputs a string. So how many arguments does function oct take in? Just one. This one over here. Finally, let's look at round. And we see that this line is a bit trickier now because there are square brackets in the list of arguments. Square brackets here mean optional arguments. That is, arguments that could either be included or not be included. How does this work? Well, I could call round of 2.6 with just a single argument, 2.6, and the function description tells us that round returns an int when this is called with one argument. So I would expect this to round up to 3, which is an int. However, if I call round of, say, 2.66, and I include a second argument, 1, then again this function description tells us that what's going to be returned is 2.66 rounded to 1 decimal place, which is 2.7. What this line tells us is that round can be called with either one argument or with 2 arguments. One argument must always be included, and the other is optional. But notice that if I try to call round with many more arguments, I get an error. Round takes at most 2 arguments. Awesome.